Okay, I wanted to call this meeting to order. This is the Town of Kensington Town Council meeting. Excuse me, for Wednesday, May 13th. And the first item on the agenda is a moment of silence. Is there anyone wants to lift up?
I'd like to lift up. Oh, sorry. Go ahead. I'd like to lift up the Robb family. They live just outside the north boundaries, but dear friends of ours who Esther's father passed away yesterday.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else? Anne?
Yeah, I'd like to lift up the Andresen family on Washington Street who recently lost their son, Stu Andresen, who grew up in Kensington, was an amazing economist who really did incredible work on behalf of American workers and was lost all too young. I used to run into him at conferences, and he had so many great stories about growing up in Kensington. So our hearts are with them all now.
Well, thank you. That's very sad. Anyone else? Okay, we could just close our eyes for a moment. Okay, thank you very much. Next item on the agenda is the approval of the minutes. Council, everyone should have received the minutes. I didn't see any back and forth with any edits. Does anyone have anything? I'm not seeing any hands. If I can get a motion to approve the April 15 minutes.
I'll move that we approve the minutes from the April 15th Town Council meeting.
Is there
Second.
all those in favor?
In favor?
Okay, great. Thank you very much. All right, so we're going to move down to the next item on the agenda. Actually, we're going to have that. Let's go ahead and do quickly the acknowledgements. Matt, do you want to do the A?
Sure. Thank you, Mayor. Council, we've requested a closed session meeting to be held on Monday, May 18th at 8 a.m. With our town attorney with regards to the acquisition of the Kensington Crossing Homeowners Association property. We just want to acknowledge that for the public record.
Okay, thank you very much. So council, please make sure you have that on your calendars for the Monday meeting at 8 a.m. at Town Hall.
Just to confirm, that is in person?
Yes, it is an in-person meeting. We're going to crowd in with all the other furniture into the map room, so we should be fine though. Okay, all right. Thank you, and go ahead and do B, and then we can move on to our guests.
Sure. So we have two candidates for town council. Both council member Nate Engel and Ann Lichter are running for re-election, and we have one candidate for mayor. Mayor Furman is running for re-election. Therefore, our regulations do not require a formal election on Monday, June 1st. Our Board of Supervisors of Elections will certify the election at our June town council meeting.
Okay. Thank you. And we can, I'd like to have the police officers talk about what they're here for tonight, and then we can go back and decide how we want to, if we want to do an ice cream social or something else. So let's go ahead and move on. And Officer Johnson, Demond is our community officer, and I will let you introduce the two other officers who are here tonight.
All right. Thank you, Mayor Furman, and everyone on the call. I'm Officer Demond Johnson, the Community Service Officer for the Bethesda District. This is going into my 16th year with the police department. I've spent my first 3 years in the Wheaton District, my next 5 years in background and recruitment, a short stint in SID. Then I moved on to the 3rd District, where I spent 2 years doing the COVID experience. And then I moved on to the Bethesda District, where I've been for the past 6 years. I did do a small temp in our real-time intelligence center this past winter, where I spent 2 months there. And we'll get into a little bit more of that. Since Sergeant German has a little bit of time that he can spend with us this evening, I want to go ahead and introduce him. And he's actually one of my classmates from the academy. Sergeant German is in charge of the drone as the first responders, and I'll let him take it from there.
Yep. I'm Sergeant Chris German. I've been a police officer with the county for 16 years. 13 of those years were spent in the Wheaton district, which actually has part of Kensington. And then in 2023, I was promoted to sergeant. They transferred me to the Bethesda district where I supervise the central business district team. And then this past December, I was selected for the position to supervise the air support unit with the police department, which includes the Jonas first responder program.
Thank you, Sergeant German. Sergeant Hall.
Good evening, everybody. I'm Sergeant Hall. I've been on the department for almost 13 years now. Most of my time was up in Gaithersburg. When I got sent down to Bethesda after getting promoted, I spent about 6 months on the road there, and then I took over our community operations section where I began working with Officer Johnson. And I think some of you or most of you might already know me. I think I've met quite a few of you. I deal with some of you guys with our upcoming Labor Day parade. So looking forward to working with you guys again.
Thank you. All right, Mayor Furman. You're on mute.
Thank you. I'm so happy that you all found the time to come in today because we have some incidents that have happened around town. Particularly the most recent one was the rally and the Safeway and a shooting, and that's kind of rattled a lot of people. So and then we have some issues with like a lot of other localities, the e-bikes and things like that. So we're very interested in, and then of course the drone program and how that's working out for you all. So those are kind of the topics that we're hoping to just get some updates on.
Okay. Sergeant German.
Yep. So I'll just give a kind of a brief rundown of the Jonas First Responder Program. The Jonas First Responder Program started with the county police department back. Our first flight was in October of 2023. And the first site that we stood up was in downtown Silver Spring. Um, that was it's a data-driven approach by where we set up our DFR sites. Downtown Silver Spring is the busiest beat in the entire county, so that's why that area was set up first. From there, we moved to Wheaton. Wheaton was started up in February of 2024, and that's probably when you guys say that you've seen some drones in the area, the Wheaton DFR site is the one that covers the majority of Kensington. The Bethesda site it can't reach all the way up there. So each of these sites has, up until today actually, was only responsible for a 1.2 nautical mile distance from where the launch site was. I can't give out where the launch sites are because some of them are in private buildings for now, but the downtown Wheaton one is in the middle of downtown Wheaton, and it extends all the way up to Georgia and Randolph, and then it goes all the way over to the west to North Kensington. So basically, like the Knowles area is where it'll get to. A lot of what that drone covers is shopliftings from either Wheaton Plaza or the Kensington CVS is one that we get a lot of calls for service for, as well as the Safeway. And the way that that drone operates and all the other drones is we have a joint operations center in the basement of our headquarters where the DFR program and the real-time crime center are all co-located. And the DFR pilots all monitor Live 911. So basically, when a call is coming into Live 911, that's inside of that 1.2 nautical mile circle. The officers in the room who are operating the drones can hear that call live as the caller is telling the dispatcher what's happening. So it also geo verifies where that person is based on their cell phone location. So we can see the phone number of the person calling, see the location where they're calling from, and then once we hear the details of the call, or if we hear some sort of indicator in the call that makes us think it's some sort of violent crime, we'll immediately launch the drone, start heading that way to that location that's pinging on the cell phone before the call taker from our emergency operations center even gets the person's phone number who's calling. So typically we can arrive at calls for service within about 40 to 50 seconds. Um, the way that our emergency operations center works is they have a national standard of the information they have to get in the order they get it in. So typically the person will call and then they have to verify their phone number twice, they have to verify the address, and then they start getting into the details of the call. By the time they get into the first few sentences of the details of the call, we're already overhead looking for suspects. Um, typically for like some sort of street robbery, whether it's in Wheaton or Kensington, by the time the clothing description or the lookout is given by the caller to the call taker, we're already overhead starting to look for people that are either running from a scene or hiding behind something. And then once we hear that information that's coming in with the lookout, then we'll start honing in on different people as we're searching around. One important thing to note about when we're flying to and from calls, the camera is pointed at the horizon at a 0 degree angle. So as we're flying to and from calls, we're not looking down at any backyards or anything. We're flying straight to the call. Once we get to the call location, that's when we can pan the camera down and start utilizing the zoom and different features of the camera to look for people. So when people hear the word drone a lot, they kind of think about surveillance, but one thing we really like to drive home with the community is we're only panning that camera down when we're on scene of a call. And any other flight, if we have to move to another call, we pan the camera back up to 0 degrees and fly the drone to the next call. A lot of this stuff can also be done autonomously, like the flights to and from the calls are autonomous. So we'll fly in a straight line directly to the call and it defaults the camera at that 0 degree angle too. So even if we were on a call for service like in Wheaton and then one went out in Kensington, once we hit the button to go to the call in Kensington, the autonomy takes over and pans that camera directly straight back up to 0. I know I harped on that a lot, but that's a lot of questions we get about what if I'm in my backyard and you guys are flying over to a call and you see something you may not want to see. That's not the case. We're not panning that camera down until we're at the law enforcement objective.
Yeah, I actually attended the meeting at the Wheaton Regional Center where you were introducing the drone to the community, and you
Oh,
were very
nice.
clear about that because that was a concern. Well, what if I'm in my backyard, getting some sun, things like that. And you guys
Yep.
were very clear about how that worked. So, I'm glad you're reinforcing that.
Yep. So that's one of the huge questions we get at any community meeting we do. Um, I'll just go over some quick stats. I'll just focus on this Wheaton drone because that's the one that services Kensington.
Mhm.
In 2025, the drone responded to 567 calls for service. And of those 567 calls for service, the drone was on scene first 456 out of those 567 calls. So that's an 80% first on scene rate. The drone cleared 74 calls, which means we arrived on scene to a call and cleared the call without a patrol officer either needing to come out or we got there and handled the call before a patrol officer even arrived on scene. We keep track of how many officers we put back in service because obviously the police department, if you keep up with the news, is very short-staffed right now. So one of the stats we keep track of is how many officers we put back in service. So in 2025, we put 136 officers back in service. So an example to give for that is if there's like say a trespasser at the Kensington Safeway. We'll see that call either come in through Live 911 if the caller called 911 or if it pops up in our computer system and it's a pending call, we'll see it. We'll fly to the call. While we're on the way to the call, as long as they're not on the phone with the emergency operations center, um, we'll call the complainant ourselves and introduce ourselves, say, hey, we're with the drone unit. We'll be in the area with a drone. Is that person still around? Where's the last place you saw them? And what do you want done if that person's found? If they say, yeah, the person's still outside, he's out front, we'll try to pick him up with the drone camera. If he leaves, we'll follow him. We'll call the person back and say, hey, he left. The patrol officers are still tied up. Do you still want to speak to a patrol officer, or is this phone interaction okay? A lot of times they'll say, oh no, if he's gone, we don't need a trespass notice issued. You can go ahead and have the patrol officers disregard. So that puts two officers back in service that would have had to go to a priority two call like that, where they could be in service for priority zero, priority one calls, which are like our code three lights and siren calls, like in progress violent crimes. So that frees them up for that. And then the final stat I have for that Wheaton drone is they located 267 subjects during 2025 from the air.
Wow. So does that mean an arrest, or you were able just to
No, we keep track of subjects or suspects located. That also would include any missing people we found with the drone, or um, even if we located a subject and the patrol officers don't arrest them, we still located someone for the patrol officers, so we keep track of that. We don't have any impact on what the patrol officers do once the person is located. That's their discretion whether or not they're going to make an arrest or follow up with charges at a later point. We can only help guide them.
Okay. Anybody have any questions for for Officer Jarman Stewart?
Yeah, Officer German, thanks for that info. Really appreciate it. What's the time on station for that drone? Like, how long can you guys loiter at that target?
So actually, this week we're in the process of going to a dock-based drone system, which has we're going to a completely different drone company. Um, so but the current drones that we've been using for the last 3 years, as long as the weather cooperates, like it's not a super windy day like it is this evening, we can typically fly to a call. The flight to and from, including the time loitering around a call, is typically about 35 minutes. The new drones we're getting are about the same, but they're actually going to be smaller. Um, the the drawback to the new ones is the ones we currently have, we can bring it back to the rooftop, and there's a contractor on the rooftop who can swap out the batteries, and we can go straight back up. These new ones land in a dock, and the dock closes on top of it and charges up the battery itself. So we're gonna have two docks at each site, so we can kind of do that battery hot swap with two different drones, but we are limited to when the drone is recharging its batteries rather than having somebody up there to swap out batteries real quick for us. The new ones, the time on scene is going to be about the same.
Okay, that's awesome. Second question, and I'll hold my other ones. Is do you guys have a hard floor on how low you can operate the device?
Yeah, I'll just address both the platforms because we're still operating both platforms right now. We're rolling out the new ones literally today. We started with it with some of them. The floor for the older platform we were using is we set it at the top of the highest building. So typically in downtown Bethesda, we keep that drone at with a floor of 380 feet and a ceiling of 400 feet because legally we can't go over 400 feet unless there's an emergency. Um, these new drones we're getting with all the technology they have in them, we won't have a floor. They're actually able to, they have all kinds of different obstacle avoidance features where if we wanted to, we could fly them through downtown Bethesda and it'll navigate through in between buildings if we had to. Um, those we're going to keep at because of a new waiver we got with the FAA and not having visual observers on the rooftops. Those will be a 200-foot ceiling, but we're able to go 50 feet above any obstructions. So in a downtown urban area like Bethesda or Silver Spring, even parts of Wheaton where there's tall buildings, will still be 50 feet above any structure, the highest structure. But in areas like Germantown, when we expand up there, we'll just be operating at 200 feet because everything's much lower up there.
Anybody else have a question?
I got one more.
Oh, go ahead.
Sorry. This is,
Yep.
I can talk about this stuff all day. What's like, and I'm sure if you don't want to talk about this, I understand. What's the comms package like? How do you guys talk into ground forces or any deconflicting with like other aerial assets like helicopters, police helicopters, or any kind of like emergency medical flights? Like, are they talking back to the center, or do you guys, the folks, officers on the ground, talk direct to you guys? How's that work?
So we just operate on the same police dispatch channel as the patrol officers. We'll get on the call sign for the drones is Raven. So we'll get on and identify ourselves on the dispatch channel. The patrol officers are all familiar with all the Raven call signs. Um, so we just communicate back and forth on the main dispatch channel with them. As far as any manned aircraft go, like police helicopters, because a lot of times we'll work with the police helicopters. Like PG County will send their helicopter over a lot of times if they're searching for suspects in some sort of carjacking bailout or anything like that. And we'll deconflict with them just over our main dispatch channel. We'll ask them what altitude they want us to stay at and what they want the hard ceiling to be at. And typically they're at least 1,000 feet anyway, so they don't mind that we're at 400, but we do deconflict with them. Um, Communicating with fire rescue services is a little bit trickier because we don't have their radio channels, but that's why they're moving towards this joint operations center because fire rescue is actually in the center with us. So a lot of times if there's a fire at a structure fire at a house and it's within this DFR range of one of these drones, they'll walk over and ask us if we can fly the drone over there. And all the drones have thermal cameras, so we'll turn on the thermal camera and try to help them with hotspots. And when we assist them with a call for service, it will automatically send them a video link to their battalion chiefs or whoever's on scene of that call, and they can watch the live drone video as well.
That's fantastic. Thank you. Really appreciate the cross coordination, and I think the residents, if they do encounter a police officer, on the ground, it's good to know that they can, those folks have comms back to the op center so they can communicate with the drone in case they have additional intel to pass around. So thanks for that. Really appreciate the extra information.
Yep.
So I have one quick question. When I went to the community meeting a couple of years ago, the drones were in a trial phase. It's no longer trial, right? This is technology that we're embracing and going to expand. Is that correct?
Yep. Like I said, we're in the process of expanding. I definitely just stay tuned because there's definitely going to be a press release coming out in the near future with what our expansion plans are, especially with this joint operations center, but also with our new platform we're going to. Um, we are we're expanding another site in the Silver Spring district and another site in the Fifth District in Germantown. So that's kind of the first phase. And then, like I said, it's data driven. So we'll look at data for when we expand our second phase to other sites, whether they're going to be additional ones in Bethesda, additional ones in Wheaton. We just have to kind of go with a data driven approach for that. And then obviously everything is cost money, so it's fairly expensive too.
Right. Okay. Thank you. Any other questions for Officer German on drones?
I'm just curious, Sergeant German, whether the drones have been deployed to deal with the car rally incidents that Mayor Furman referenced earlier, and if so, are you finding that they're a helpful tool in that situation?
So I will, if we were asked to, we would definitely try to staff a detail for drones to respond to that. The DFR drones wouldn't respond to something like that. It would be our patrol-based drones. The one that made the news, what was it, a month or two ago, where the officer's window got smashed? That was so quick. By the time I reached out to the duty commander and then was thinking about going down there to either put together a response to go down there or go down there myself, they were already long gone. So it would have to be staffed by if they had intel that there was going to be a car rally, they would reach out to our unit and then we would staff it with we have a drone truck which has multiple drones in it that we can deploy and we would staff it on as a detail that way. Um, but no, we haven't had any success with any car rallies with the drones just because by the time somebody were to call us, they've already moved on. They move on to other locations in the DMV very quick.
Yeah, that one in Chevy Chase was I think in February. So
February, okay.
yeah. And of course they were shooting off fire extinguishers, so that would have clouded any opportunity to see much, I guess. I guess that would
Yep.
have affected the drones, the
The,
camera.
the other thing to remember with the drones is they're great for like a foot chase when an officer's chasing behind somebody,
Hmm.
but a vehicle chase, the maximum speed the current ones we have go is 35 miles per hour. The ones we're going to is 42 miles per hour, so they're not going to keep up with a car. They can read, they have like a 200 times zoom on them, so we could zoom in if we were able to get behind a car and look for a license plate to relay that to patrol officers, but it's just, it can't keep up with a car. And we're also limited by battery life, unfortunately.
Right. Okay. Anybody else? All right. Well, thank you very much, Sergeant German. We really appreciate your taking the time to come here tonight and talking to us about this.
Yep. The last thing I'll say about the drones is I don't know if anybody knows, there's a transparency dashboard on the county website for the drone program. It shows all of our drone flights. It brings up a map with the path the drone flew. It has an event number and an address of where the drone was going to. Not an exact address. It's a 100 block, so we don't give away people's addresses. That's a public dashboard. It also shows all of our stats, which gets updated in real time once they do a DFR flight and land, it uploads automatically to this dashboard. So it's updated in real time. And that can be, you can just Google Montgomery County Police DFR and then click the public dashboard link.
Great. Thank you very much.
Yep.
All right. Well, I guess we'll move on to e-bikes. Let's talk about that, Damon.
Sure. So like we spoke about earlier when we first started, the e-bike phenomenon is here. It seems like it's growing with the kids as well as with the adults. You see them on. I saw one in the middle of the road today. I saw one in the bike lane on the sidewalks. They're all throughout downtown Bethesda, and they'll show up a lot in the areas like where you all live, like in downtown Kensington and things like that. The interesting thing is that you don't see them much in neighborhoods. You see them in the main thoroughfares, and where there's a lot of traffic and a lot of businesses. We've had recently, we've had quite a few issues with the e-bikes. As I stated, Lieutenant Elkin had an experience with an e-biker down in downtown, but that's a 13-year-old where there was a arrest made with this particular individual due to a number of different things, and to include belligerence and things of that nature. So with the e-bikes, at a certain speed, I don't have the flyer right in front of me. I apologize. Sergeant Hall, if you have it, the one I sent out.
I don't have the flyer handy. You want to know about the speed? 28 miles an hour.
Yes.
Yeah.
But in addition to, there's different types. So you have the e-bikes, but you also have the e-scooters, and you have the e-dirt bikes.
Mm-hmm.
When you get to the scooters and the dirt bikes, they must be tagged, and a person must have a helmet in order to operate them. They're not supposed to be utilized on sidewalks. They should be used in designated lanes or in the streets. So when you have these kids that are doing these things, they're doing wheelies in the street, they're riding against traffic, they're riding through traffic, they're causing a disturbance with patrons and pedestrians all over the place, potentially causing accidents with them. And this is where we're starting to see a lot more enforcement. Some of the enforcement is coming out of our unit. Connor, I know you mentioned that there was a visit paid to a homeowner or family in reference to an e-biker and their activities. If we can, and we can identify them, or we actually have them detained, and we'll try to figure out exactly who they are and make contact with the parents when they're juveniles Now, let's go back to a couple things. When we talk about juveniles in the state of Maryland, this is a state law. So between the ages of 12 and 17, we can't question that particular individual for any criminal activity between the ages of 12 and 17 without an attorney present. So you can see what challenge this poses to us as law enforcement. And this is really one of those things where we need the community's help, but we need more parental involvement. And where it really starts is with parental involvement, knowing exactly what you purchase for your child, where your child is, who they're hanging out with, and things of that nature. Are they equipped to be able to ride these particular e-bikes? Because they do get up to these speeds, which are very quick on roadways. They're faster than bicycles. They're faster than pedestrians can move, and sometimes they're challenging them in traffic with vehicles. So we have to get everyone's help and everyone on board to actually combat this. Okay. If you see something where there's erratic behavior with these e-bikers, these young children, please report it to us so that we can make note of it. We can try to see if we can get an officer there, depending on what the egregiousness of it is. If it's not particularly a crime that's being committed, we would like for you, or nothing that's an egregious crime that's being committed, we would like for you to use the non-emergency number if you can. But I'm not telling you not to use 911 because we do want to know so we can keep the stats on these particular things and grow. There's a sergeant that's in our district who has done a PowerPoint on it. And the next time I'll see if we can actually have him on board to talk about e-bikes. But the main thing here is they're there. They're in your communities. You see them every day, all day. But we have to get the community's help. We have to get parental help on addressing this issue with these kids and these e-bikes. Parents need to be aware because they need to know what kind of tool they just equip their teenager with, whether it be getting injured in traffic. We have a lot of fatal accidents with pedestrians. We have car accidents. Everyone's seeing how traffic is these days with the moving of vehicles, the blowing through stop signs, the speeding, the aggressive turns in on different streets, changing lanes. All of these traffic things are happening in vehicles, and now we add e-bikers to it, and when they're getting involved in these particular lanes. Okay.
Can you give me an example of a crime like, is that like harassing a pedestrian with their bike or
They can.
or
It can be hitting the pedestrian with their bike. It can be harassing a pedestrian with their bike. Sergeant Hall, go ahead. What were you going to say?
Yeah, I just said disorderly conduct. If they're blocking traffic or getting in the way. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Somebody else had a question as well.
I had a quick question if I can ask. So you mentioned, Officer Johnson, that there were 3 types of e-bikes, and the 2 that can't go on sidewalks. Does that mean that the regular e-bikes are allowed to go on sidewalks and they don't have to wear helmets?
Well, no, all bicyclists are supposed to wear helmets, but there's 2 that you have to have a helmet and it has to be tagged. And that's the scooter and that's the dirt bike. So there's 2 other different bikes. The bicycle form is one where you have to have a helmet. Okay. You can ride it on the sidewalk, but you have to ride it with caution. But we have designated lanes that the county or the state has invested in these particular areas where these bicycle lanes are designated for these particular riders. But we're seeing them more where they're not actually in the bike lanes and they're on the sidewalks and they're in traffic. Mm-hmm. So outside of those parameters is not really where they should be, but they should be obeying the same traffic laws. If you're riding a bicycle on the street, you should still be obeying the same traffic laws as a vehicle.
Good. Thank you for clarifying.
Yeah, there's a little confusing with some of the e-bikes because there's e-bikes with pedals and then there's e-bikes with pedals. So if you see an e-bike with pedals, it's likely okay to be on the sidewalk or on the road as like a regular bike. But the second it's on the road without those pedals, it's basically a motorcycle that needs to be registered. And it can't legally actually be on the road because it has none of the safety equipment attached to it, like headlights or blinkers or stoplights.
Okay.
And is it also causing regular bike? We have a lot of bicyclists. We, promote bicyclists, and is it causing them problems too, having these faster bikes swivel in and around, groups of bicyclists? Is that causing?
Yeah, I don't think as much of that as it is. The kids are riding the bikes more recreationally to go out and about off-road and these different types of things. That's
Okay.
where we're running into those issues. They're not really using the bike lanes for what they've designated for, the intent for what they were for the people who ride in the bicycles to work or things of that nature. They're riding them all over the place, sidewalks, backyards, in the middle of the street, riding wheelies in the middle of the street, causing traffic backups and things of that nature. So we're talking about a little bit outside of that.
Okay. And scooters, are those like the ones that you rent, or are these
Well,
different
people,
faster scooters?
yeah, I mean, you can rent them. I mean, the scooters, they're pretty much like the same thing, like the ones you see where you have the delivery people.
Okay.
Yeah, there's stand-up ones, and then there's the sit-down ones. The
Yeah.
sit-down are basically motorcycles that also need to be registered like a motorcycle.
Mhm.
Okay. Okay. Wow.
The stand,
That's registration and helmet.
yeah, yeah. The stand-up ones are fine to ride, kind of like a bicycle.
Yeah. I mean, you see a lot of people who are, renting them, and they pick them up.
Yes.
If they don't have a helmet because they just decided, oh, there's a scooter, I'm just gonna, ride it up the couple of blocks to get to where I want to go, and then I'll leave it in the middle of the sidewalk. So,
This is true too.
yeah.
We do, and the same thing with the bicycles that they rent. We see them laying around everywhere.
Gosh, yeah.
So it's the new age.
It is a new way. Well, I mean, leaving it in the middle of the sidewalk. I mean, come on, guys.
Yeah. And they do get picked up. So I
Yeah.
did see the trucks coming to pick them up.
Our public works guys, they pick them up, especially if they're sitting in the middle of the sidewalk, and then they just put them behind town hall and just, wait for somebody to come get them.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
So I have a question about enforcement. I mean, I understand the rules around having an attorney present, but when you do get to a point of speaking with parents, have you seen that there are any particular tactics or approaches that work to change behavior of the youth or enact, consequences for their behavior?
Well, I mean, what I'll say in general is this, aside from just e-bikers and just crimes in general, parents are usually more concerned about getting the child back, getting them back more in their custody and speaking with them when they get home. It's more about a protection for them at that particular point in time. So, we do occasionally get the apology for their behavior, but once they leave us, we don't know exactly what's going on. And that interaction with us and the parents is usually very quick. Because when we get a phone call, depending on, and I'll say most parents, I will say that I'll go with the 99%. Most parents, they're more concerned about picking up their child and making sure their child is safe, and they're shocked that something happened. So they're quick to get there once we've made the phone call to pick them up. But we don't see a whole lot of the deep down apologies. It's more or less, I'm sorry that happened. Some parents are just, they move away from it altogether. They're just ready to get the child and go home.
But for example, could there is there grounds for some kind of a record so that when they go to get a license, or that you require extra education or anything along those lines?
Well, so with the children, when we take them into our custody, we'll actually fingerprint them, contact DJS, and see what they want to do, especially if the person already has a lot of infractions, and then we'll call the parents to come pick them up. As far as the education goes, the officer typically will give them some, we'll talk to the children about these different things that they're doing, their activities, what they should be doing, where they should be going, where this can lead them, and things of that nature. But as far as when they get older and they get their license, I'm not really sure how that adjudication process goes.
I will say, with traffic charges, it is much easier to hold the parents accountable as well. Usually it's much harder to do when it comes to the criminal aspect of things, but for traffic stuff, like with these e-bikes, we can charge the parents as well as the child. So like, yeah, there's specific charges for allowing your child to ride an unregistered motor vehicle and allowing your child to ride an e-bike or bicycle without a helmet.
Anybody else? Okay, let's see. So the last one we wanted to quickly talk about was the rallies that are going on around the county and I guess the region in general. And if there's, I mean, I kind of think of it as a one-off as far as within our town, and they are going to move on somewhere else. But maybe that's maybe that's wrong thinking.
Well, these things they're promoted, so we're actively doing investigations on these particular things because of the incidents that we've had and the ones that we've seen in the region. It just so happens that this has been going on in downtown Silver Spring for years. It just happened to hit the Chevy Chase and Bethesda area this past couple of times. But when you look back at older news articles 2 and 3 years ago, the downtown takeover took place right in the middle of Colesville Road and Georgia Avenue on many occasions. All up in Burtonsville is happening in Prince George's County. So there's a task force that's been put together through the state to actually combat these kinds of things. We're hoping that it's a one-off for Kensington. We're hoping that it's a one-off for Bethesda. We're hoping that it ends in Montgomery County as a whole. But right now, I mean, I wouldn't be able to say that it would be a one-off. I'd just say that whenever we have intel that something like this is happening, we're forming a plan, an action plan to be able to deal with it and remedy it as quickly as possible.
Was the gun unusual for things like this in that?
Well, I would say yes. I mean, would say no, but that's not it. Howard County just had the same thing where they had a shooting a couple of weeks ago where someone was, I'm not sure if it was a homicide it turned out to be, but they had one in Howard County about 2 or 3 weeks ago where someone was injured with a gun.
Okay.
So it could be one of the things that, again, we have the criminal activity and the people who are involved in criminal activity also involved, and we have the people where we have the law changed. So we have people who are in concealed carry now, as of about 2 years ago, where a person who has no criminal record and nothing that's going to stand out to stop them from obtaining concealed carry permit are now carrying weapons legally. So this is new to the state, and it's still an adjustment period for us as officers as well, because typically we see more guns on traffic stops now than we did before. But our approach has to be different. And a long time ago, when you had a gun on a traffic stop, it was all hands on deck. Cars were coming from everywhere. Now we have to check to make sure that they have the proper license for it. And if they have a gun on them and we've actually taken it, we'll probably wind up giving it back depending on what the offense was.
Okay. And the one in Chevy Chase, was that unusual? It looked awfully brutal as far as the fire extinguishers and what they did to the police officer's car and things like that. Is that unusual?
Again, anytime we have a firearm, I would say that a fire extinguisher wouldn't be unusual as well. It was all used as deterrence to be able to get away, to block certain things for identifying purposes and things of that nature. So I would say no, it's not something that's a one-off. It's probably something that's more regular than it is something that's one-off.
Okay. Anybody else have any questions regarding the rallies? Go ahead, Stuart.
Officer Johnson, thanks for the information again. Really appreciate it. How have you guys been talking or partnering with like local businesses to help ensure that they're prepared for this kind of activity if they spot it or anything like that? Is there any kind of messaging y'all are doing for that or anything that we can carry back to our local businesses on your behalf?
Well, the main thing is this. What I would say, because I use Nextdoor a lot, but we also have our MCP News and X and other platforms that we have for social media to get this kind of information out. What I would say is this: if you have a business that's opening or closing in the pretty later hours, especially as the summer is approaching, give us a call if you start to see some of these cars start to gather. If you see 3, 4, maybe 5, 10 cars starting to gather in your shopping centers, that's probably an indication that we're getting ready to have something going on. There may be an issue. But in addition, if you see these cars periodically coming through certain areas in Kensington and they're parking, and it could be in the earlier hours before it gets, because these type of events happen usually in the later hours. They're not happening in the 9 o'clock time frame. We're talking closer to midnight and things like that. So most of the businesses are probably closed unless it's probably, I'm not sure how long the liquor stores stay open, but the 7-Elevens and things like that.
Yeah.
But then we get into other things too, when we start talking about cameras and where camera placement and things of that nature. And Mayor Furman and I, we just had a call recently where we're looking to do something with the towns to try to figure out where camera placement will be good. But back to literature and getting the word out. I try my best to get the word out as much as possible on Nextdoor. If there's any concerning information or any information where we need help from the community, it will definitely go to Mayor Furman to disseminate, or to Matt or to Connor to get it out to the community, your community, if something is coming up and something that we've heard. But as we get more details and more information that we can share about what to look for, we'll be putting that out as well, as much as possible.
Yeah, I just want to say we'd love to work with you on that. Just to follow up on Stuart's question, I could imagine, putting together an article, a tip sheet, getting it out on eBlast and our newsletter as well, because we have had a number of residents asking what they can do and how to be alert to, emerging situations like this and be helpful to the police.
Okay. Then we can definitely do that. When as I get information that I can share, based on investigations that has been verified that I can release, we can do that, and we'll get some tips out on what we've seen that's actually maybe in the way of promoting these particular incidents.
Great, thank you.
In addition to the alerting the businesses and the community in general, how's the task force operating to try to get ahead of it? Are you like monitoring social media? Are there certain areas where these things are posted that residents may come across and be able to report to, or are they just really difficult to track?
Well, what I'll say is this: we do have a tip line. So if you have information or you see something that you've come across on your social media or through conversation with young children or whatever the case may be, we welcome that information. And you can also send it to me if you have it. As far as the task force goes and how they go about formulating those things, I'm pretty sure that they use social media to try to gather information on these particular events that may be upcoming. So, but I can't get into too much of that because then that would be
forced.
Yeah. So I'm sorry, but that's the one thing I always got to remind everyone of. It's always great to have that information, to have the information given in the hands of the community. But the one thing we know, and we can talk about from being over at Bradley Hills with the incident we just had, I can't talk about how many conversations had gotten turned around from information that had been released and turned around to something else and led to this and led to that. And that's the reason why we do this. We keep this information close until we have something substantial to be able to go on. But when we give it to the public, it tends to get a little bit misconstrued, and the story changes, and then information comes out, and there are extra questions that really have nothing to do with the investigation.
Well, I think it's very important to go right to the source sometimes.
Yes.
To make sure what information you have is either correct or allow it to be corrected and not spread things. That's the downside to Nextdoor and sometimes the listservs is.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, and that's the other thing too with Nextdoor.
Thank you.
So Nextdoor is the authorized vehicle that has been given to me that I can use to share information. I don't have control over that. What I do have control over is when Mayor Furman sends me an email about something that's going on. I'm very quick to act on it. When we had the bank robberies, as soon as she sent it to me, I immediately put together a plan for the community operations team to go out and meet with them, but also to turn around and have a coffee with a cop and keep that ongoing and information sharing for you all to be able to have. And we did quickly make arrests in those cases. So, which is great, was great. And I think that definitely was helps the community in both ways, you and the community. Yes. Yeah. Any other questions on those topics, or if somebody has another question? Well, Joe?
Yeah, thanks, Mayor Furman, and thanks to the officers for their presentations. Very, very informative, and it's really great to see them again. And I hope you have another coffee with the cop sometime in town. That was really a good event. I was just wondering, and maybe Officer Johnson might field this one. I know there's been a lot of reference to the Safeway rally and that incident, but I just wonder if you know what the single most frequent complaint that the county police receives from within the town of Kensington. The town of Kensington. Is it like the single most frequent complaint related to parking or speeding or theft or loud noise or trespassing? Just do you know what the single most complaint that you guys receive from the town of Kensington?
That's a good one. But what I can say is at one time it was graffiti, and that was more so coming from over in the HOC area where they were located. We have parking complaints all the time. Sergeant Hall can probably speak to whether or not we have speeding complaints and things like that. But the trespassing, the graffiti, and pedestrian safety, those are the top three.
Yes.
And you mentioned parking complaints all the time, though.
Parking complaints, we do get a ton of parking complaints there, yeah. But those so within community operations, some of the parking complaints come directly to me, and then I send them to Sergeant Hall for our traffic team that we have to actually go out and address them. But most of those go to the non-emergency number, so patrol gets them. So I don't have the exact stats on which one is the most complaint for the town of Kensington. But what I can say from what I know from the different calls and things that I've gotten it with Sergeant Hall and our traffic unit has gone out for it, it's definitely the patrol has gone out a lot for trespassing at some of the businesses because of the homelessness. The parking complaints, we do get a lot of it, but I know you all also mitigate that with your off-duty program. So they probably can be more to speak on some of those things and pedestrian safety.
Thank you.
Sergeant Hall, did you want to add anything, or you good?
No, I would just say that, you guys are not alone when it comes to traffic complaints. It's equal, I would say, countywide to where I get complaints. They are all over. And I would just say probably one of the biggest things we have in your area is theft from auto.
Theft from auto, yes.
Yeah. So that's a big one. The more you can get out, not to leave valuables in your car, the easier my life would be. More people lock their doors, the easier my life would be. So that is always a message I like to put out there, is just don't leave $10,000 cash or your very expensive music equipment or your computers in your car, even if it's for a minute, because it can happen any time of day. So
yes, I second that.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you very much. I appreciate you both coming here this evening and spending some time with us. It's been very helpful.
We appreciate it. And as always, if you need anything, feel free to reach out. I'll be there.
Okay, great. And I agree with Joe that maybe coffee with a cop would be a nice thing to have maybe sometime this fall.
Yeah, I think it's time to make the round. I try to go through the whole district and hit different places. We will be doing one at the Porsche dealership in North Bethesda.
Okay.
Pike and Rose coming up in June.
Okay.
It's going to be around the 24th, 25th, 26th. So it's going to be a really nice event.
Okay. Well, we've got Marathon Deli is now open.
Yes.
And so maybe they could make some Greek goodies.
Yes.
Or unlimited breads. We have that now. So
either one. We can do either one.
Okay. Sounds super.
All right.
Thank you all.
Thank you all. Have a good evening.
Bye-bye. Yeah.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, that's good. All right, so let's just quickly go back to make a decision on whether we want to do a ice cream social on election day. That would be June 1st. Monday, June 1st. We've done ice cream for years.
What decision is there to make? Isn't it a given?
Well, I think
flavors, Nate. We got to pick flavors.
No. I think I was more thinking of maybe a different location, only because I think town hall doesn't. It's out of the.
Yeah.
It's not quite centered around somewhere that might be more. Like St. Paul Park would probably be more popular.
St. Paul Park. That might be nice.
I defer to all of you. I will be out of town June 1st. So go have a party wherever makes sense. But
okay.
You're not even going to be at your own party.
No.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I'd hate to put over at Land, then you'd be in competition with the other ice cream store, so that's why I was thinking maybe over at St. Paul Park might be nice.
I agree. I think St. Paul Park would be great. In the event that the weather isn't perfect, there's still the picnic pavilion. But for those who maybe haven't had a chance to see some of the work we've done around the park, and there's just a lot going on right there, introduce them to the future public works site. There's just a lot to talk about right there at St. Paul Park.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, I think for people that don't wander, from the west or the south side over to the north side, it would be a good opportunity to check it out.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's great.
Okay.
And more likely to have a higher turnout too, I think probably with more kids coming.
Yeah, I think so. All right, so Matt, can we make that arrangement for June 1st at St. Paul Park? And we want to do 6 to 7?
Yeah, that sounds great.
Sounds good.
Okay. All right, good. All right, so number 3, Matt?
Council, we need a waiver for alcohol to be served at St. Paul Park for the 5th annual Juneteenth event on Saturday, June 13th. Just a regular motion in this office.
Okay, who wants to make a motion?
I'll make a motion that we provide an alcohol waiver for the Juneteenth celebration on June 13th at St. Paul Park.
Okay,
Second. Oh, sorry, second.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
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 Great, thank you very much. Okay, let's go through and get any reports that people have. Anybody want to start, or do I just get to pick?
I'll start.
Let's go with
I'll
Nate.
take-
He's on.
Nate, you get to go.
All right, Con.
Oh, great.
I don't care. You guys fight it out.
Okay, I'll just go. I'll try to be really quick. So I wanted to just a couple of quick things. I don't know. Tracy, you and I talked about this a little bit. If now is the time to suggest the thing about bottled water, but in the spirit of our soon to be submitted recertification application for Sustainable Maryland, we were looking at various ways to get more points. This we're probably going to, well, it looks like I know we're going to only be able to do, Ann and I know we're only going to be able to do the bronze recertification again, but we'll have more points than last year. We have a lot more that we've done that we can document. And the goal is to get the next time to really position for the silver certification because we can build on what we've done already. But just a quick shout out to the whole Sustainable Kensington committee because they're going to be submitting that. We're going to be submitting that possibly before the next town council meeting. So I just wanted to say that now, and I'll mention it again when we finally submit it. But particularly Carolyn Morrissey is working with Alex. Thank you, Alex, also, and the town staff who've been very super helpful for answering questions to get this done. But I was going to say, in the spirit of that, maybe Ann, I'll let you do the food waste update for the survey if you want. If you don't have anything, if you have anything else to update on, but we were starting to pursue a green purchasing ordinance that can help guide our purchasing decisions as a town, and it's one of the things that can get us that we will need probably for silver certification. There's a couple of key actions that you can take, and I believe this is one of them that can count towards that. So I wanted to flag to everybody that we'd like to put that forward in a future town council meeting, probably in the next couple months, just a draft of that. So we'll work on a draft of what that purchasing policy could look like. And this is for things anywhere from paper to what the office buys to how we procure things, and just trying to make it more sustainable for how we do that. I think it's something that's probably long overdue. So one of the things that is, I guess, somewhat related to that is Tracy and I were talking over the weekend at the Noise Library groundbreaking, just kind of lamenting the water bottle situation that we have at Town Hall for our town council meetings. And we were going to suggest that, I guess as part of this push on purchasing and doing things from our own town perspective in a more sustainable way, to just not allow purchasing of bottled water anymore. For the town hall, for anything that we're doing for our own town events that are at the town hall, unless it's something outside of town hall. Let's ban water bottles. we can do a giant water bottle where you can just refill. We can get the town staff and crew the metal bottles, the aluminum bottles to fill up. You can do a water filter in the refrigerator, but I think it's high time that we're not using water bottles anymore. So that's my main update is just to give you guys that to think about, and to give you that update on the Sustainable Kensington push for the recertification. And I don't know if you have anything else to add, or Tracy add to that.
Water fountain has a water bottle filler. We got that on purpose, and it is filtered water. And so I think, and then if we get we're replacing the teeny tiny refrigerator for a larger refrigerator. We just make sure that it too has a filter. I prefer one that's easily changeable when we do the research on it. And that would include your ice, if you're doing an ice machine, as well as your drinkable water, that's all filtered. So there's just no need for plastic bottles anymore. And the only thing would be difficult, which Nate and I talked about, is when you're trying to water a lot of people quickly in a very hot day like the Labor Day and the 4th of July bike parade. We do pull out the bottles because you can just pass them out quickly so people aren't falling over. But hopefully we can encourage people to bring their own water. That would be great, so we can cut back on that. But we should not be using plastic bottles for everyday drinking. I also know that you can get paper products. I know, I go to Costco too, like everybody else, but I've been trying to buy more online of better paper products as well. And the silverware has gotten better than it used to be. They used to have like little bamboo forks, but they're actually make them better than what they used to. So you don't have to buy those big plastic ones anymore. So
yeah, there's a whole host of things that we can consider, including or not. Some things might tie us up and be more difficult to do, but there's draft ordinances that other municipalities have adopted in Maryland. So we would likely seek to build off of some of those.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And yeah, there's sources out there. We just have to use them, and then they're just shipped to us, which of course that uses more fuel, but they're going to be shipped to a store, or they're going to be shipped to us, one or the other. So Connor, did you have a question?
Yeah, as we think about, some of the paper or single-use products that we might use at town hall, and thinking about plates and utensils and things like that, would any of those that are marketed as compostable be able to be diverted into either one of the programs that we have right now, either the big bins behind town hall or our town compost or town food scrap program?
Yeah, I know for a fact that they can go into the compost crew bins, into the shed, for sure. But we still are at this gray area of whether we're advising people to do it into our food waste collection, because that ultimately gets filtered out. But a couple things here and there, I think, is okay. But if we had an event, we wouldn't want to dump a ton of that into the food waste bin.
Yep.
But easily that we have the compost crew one, we can just dump it in there for sure. The compostable stuff.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Any other questions? Anne, do you have anything to add on, or you good?
Just if we're going to talk about food waste, I can share a little bit from the Sustainable Kensington meeting this past week. So some of you may have noticed we've had volunteers doing some canvassing, talking to folks about the food waste program, gathering data through conversation, but also through a survey that's been fielded in the town for the last several weeks. We are up to 79 responses so far. We've left it open a little bit longer. And the initial summary of the data that we heard in our meeting earlier this week is that about 2/3 of respondents say that they are using it regularly. Only, I think it was less than a third hadn't heard of it or used it at all. Overall, people are quite satisfied with it, but there was sort of a consistent, in terms of areas for improvement, we consistently heard that some folks have struggled a bit with the larger bin size, would like some smaller containers. Maybe they don't feel that they have enough food waste for a container that large on a weekly basis, or that the bag has trouble fitting around the edges. However, there are, it seems, more people using the smaller compost caddies like in their kitchen to gather the waste or keep a bag in the freezer, and then have gotten into a routine to move it to the larger toter that we've provided. We also heard that overall, while people are happy with it, they have a hard time remembering the additional day, which I confess, I myself have had that challenge. Note everyone, it's Wednesday night, so put your food waste toter out tomorrow.
Yes.
And some question about feasibility of finding the right compostable bags or ones at a good cost. So we had some good conversation around how to do more education and outreach, identifying some like block captains, food waste captains who can help socialize the concept within their sphere of influence, within their part of the neighborhood. And maybe doing some more outreach at community events. We would very much like to get updated data. I don't know, Alex and Matt, if you've gotten recent reports on the tonnage for the food waste, and also we're interested in the garbage tonnage and whether we're seeing any difference there. So I don't know if you know when you'll have new data.
So we receive monthly data. I can send it to you, Ann. So,
Okay.
but I
On
haven't.
both, Matt.
Yeah, but I'll be honest, I haven't been monitoring the tonnage that closely the last few months, so I
A
will
lot
have to
going
check.
on.
Yeah.
Yeah, because we had set the goal for doubling it from like I think 5,000 pounds to 10,000 pounds. Is that right? Was it 5,000 before? I think back in
I think
January or
that's right.
December.
Yeah.
So I think we aimed for the end of June. So I mean, it'd be great if we're close, but it would be great to see if we got anywhere near that. But I know when we first ran the numbers, I don't think we had the regular waste numbers to see what we had displaced possibly. But you have them, you said now. Okay, that'd be great to take a look at.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, I was at I went up to Rockville for the MML chapter meeting with the county council, and besides boring budget stuff, which really in county is not boring at all. It's kind of scary. That we talked about composting, that the county, they need to replace the incinerator, and they're looking into different ways. Long haul trash, I guess you just pack it all up and send it to another state. But one of the things was the composting, of having to get people to get composting. So I did bring up that we were doing this now, and a lot of the other municipalities were very interested because they would like to start these programs as well. So we really should think about putting together a little presentation that we can send out to some of the municipalities who'd like to do this.
I think Nate and I took an assignment like that from the committee meeting to document lessons learned from a municipal perspective. So we can work on that and talk with you and Matt and Alex about it.
Yeah,
I would give full credit to Anne. That was her idea, but it's a great idea because we have learned some things, I think, that we can definitely impart upon some of the other municipalities.
Yeah, Poolsville was particularly interested, so they definitely would like to reach out and talk to somebody just to get kind of how you got started.
Sounds good.
The only other thing I'll say on Sustainable Kensington, I just want to give a shout out to Andrew Henderson, an Eagle Scout, some of you may know, who lives on Frederick Avenue. He rallied his troop and completed building and installing 2 insect hotels, one on the south end of Clum Kennedy Park near the bird sculpture, and the other behind Ernest Memorial Park. He's going to have signs added to the side of them explaining what they are. But it was a great effort on behalf of the troop.
Okay. Well, when they do the Eagle Scout ceremony, hopefully either one of you could attend, or I can try to attend as well. I haven't been announced yet, but I think it would be nice if somebody in the town attended the ceremony.
Sounds
Please let
good.
us know. And just one more follow-up from the food waste survey. We do have a couple things that we had said we would do after, now that we've collected the information, including getting digesting it, synthesizing it, putting another article in the journal, maybe doing some raffles, getting starter kits out there for people at the farmers market or other public places, designating block champions or captains to really get the word out to the people who have the bins sitting there that we surveyed, and they said it's sitting right there. I've never used it, but I know I should. There are so many people that we encountered like that, so we're really going to do a push now afterwards. We just have to organize over the next couple weeks.
Yeah, the June journal will be the last journal until the next one would be in August. It'll come out like mid-August and, to promote all our September things. But if you want to do like a standalone 4-page little thing that people can keep, we could do that certainly and send that out separately. So, it might be nice to have all this information in one little packet so people can always hold on to it and see what they can put in, can't put in, and things like that.
That's good. Thanks.
Okay, good. Connor, got anything?
Yeah, just two. You already touched on one, and I think everybody is hearing and reading much about the county's budget. Obviously, there is a significant donut hole within the county's budget. Right now, the main press is around what is the impact may be to Montgomery County Public Schools. There's a lot of debate around that, but the mayor was just up there because one of the proposals had one of the ways to help close that gap being a reduction in the county's contributions to municipalities, which obviously, since we are about to finalize our budget and many of the other municipalities and jurisdictions within the county either have already finished their budget or are also finishing their budget, this was not a concept that any of us were aware of. So whenever you have a chance or an interaction with a county council member, I think a very good talking point. I know I talked to several at the noise event about the fact that would be detrimental to a lot of the things that we're able to do at the local level. Noise is ironically one of those things that we have been great about contributing to the Noise Foundation to help get that project started, and it finally has. And those are some of the things that we would have to take a second look at should we have a smaller budget. So let me see. The only other thing, we also, it came up, but just to formally announce that Marathon Deli is open and it is a hit. And I loved when I drive home, especially the outdoor area is being highly activated. I mean, there's just always people out there eating. It's bringing life back to that corner. The nail salon, I guess their build out is going really, really well. I didn't get a date from Michael Sanders, but I'm working to get a date and an update on Meza. And I should have that back. I might be able to bring it to the council on Monday at closed session, but certainly by the next month's council meeting, we'll just get an update on the final tenants within that shopping center.
Yeah, I went by there today. I was actually going to M&T, and you could tell it was being successful by the amount of garbage at the where the dumpsters are kept in the parking lot. And I did mention that they need to up the number of times that it is picked up, because when you have a food business filling that dumpster, you really need to empty it more than once a week. So they said they would reach out to Michael and let him know that he needs to up the game here.
I played phone tag this week, so when I do talk to him, I will also bring that point up.
Yeah, because I have two food businesses that fill the dumpster where I work, and it's a 3-time pickup a week. So just because of the amount of food that's brought in. So, okay.
Can I since you mentioned garbage, and I have written this down, I wanted to flag this and I forgot to, sorry. What is the situation? I should know this, but who's responsible for emptying the trash at the skate park? The HOC, because it's been it's the trash cans are overflowing.
It is Montgomery County Public Schools responsibility. I know the town did it last time because they had not done it. There was that flux period. But we can reach out to, and they're cutting the grass, but I wouldn't say they're cutting it well, but yeah, I can mention that too.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering because I knew they were responsible for cutting the grass, but the trash is just not getting emptied and it's just spilling over and it's kind of
Yeah,
not.
they're still in flux. They're pretty, apparently, I found out from Greg Ossott that, that it's people, workers in Carver, the Carver building, which is apparently not in very good shape. And so they're moving people out of that building into the HOC building. So,
Okay.
but yeah, let me, Matt or I will reach out to them
Okay.
and
Thank
remind,
you.
because that will definitely bring about little rodents and okay. Anything else? Stuart, what you got?
Yeah, one item for the council to be aware of. Ann and the mayor and I met with the parking task force last week. Was that last week already? The fourth? Wow. The fourth, to talk about the parking study. And I think it went really well. The Walker consultants came. We spent, I don't know, 2.5 hours on the phone or on the Zoom with them. They are, I don't know, I just want to confirm with Alex whether they actually started walking the town with you or they have. Okay, great. So that's good news. Um, and so they are starting to do their traffic, I'm sorry, their parking assessment. They're going to be focusing on doing occupancy counts on weekdays, which are going to be Wednesdays, at both AM and PM, and then on weekends on Saturdays, both AM and PM, to really fully capture the impact of the issue. We did provide some prioritized places for them, and some areas where we had noted some, um, regular issues with parking. There was some residents who are members of the parking task force who provided some feedback about things that they're seeing in and around their neighborhood, which was great. So there's some do outs, but I think all in all, we are off and running with Walker. And so far, Alex, I don't know if so far thumbs up, thumbs down. It seems like they're pretty engaged. Thumbs up. So we expect a pretty sizable deliverable from them once this wraps. The MTC Bass is meeting with them next week to talk about that. That's on the 19th at 7:30 to get their input from a pedestrian safety perspective. We asked whether they were going to be addressing some of the ADA concerns that we have with some parking. They rightly said, "Hey, look, that's an entirely separate study due to the complexity of that," but they would nevertheless flag issues that they could flag for us in the report. So all in all, I think we're early returns are positive. They seem pretty engaged and they have a very thorough approach. So I think we should expect something pretty detailed when it does come out. So it was a good news story.
Great, thank you.
Yep.
Stuart, did
Go
you
ahead.
see that? Just a quick question. Did you say they're doing their data counts on Wednesdays only? Are they going to do any over the weekends?
Yeah, sorry. Wednesdays morning and after in the evening, AM and PM, and then on Saturdays,
Okay,
AM and
sorry, I
PM.
missed Saturday.
Yeah.
Okay.
And we did, we flagged like, hey, look, like some of these businesses really get going in the evenings, and that's really where you need to be. And they said, yeah, we get that. So they would manage both days.
And they're doing the walking inventory that Stuart referenced to get a complete data inventory into GIS, but they're also have picked a couple of times to use license plate recognition for tracking turnover, and we specifically asked that they expand their plans a little bit to include a weekend because of the pressures we see on the weekend.
Yeah, so if the council has any thoughts on areas they want us to pass along, I'm meeting with them on next week, so I'm happy to take any input and make sure I convey that forward. But otherwise, I think we're in good shape and it's proceeding apace.
Great.
So that's all I have this month, Mayor. Thank
Okay.
you.
Thank you. Matt, could you give an update on Town Hall? That'd be renovation.
Sure. So we're about 5 to 6 weeks out from moving in. If you have an opportunity, council, please stop by. It looks pretty good up there. They're doing the painting this week. The flooring is scheduled beginning this coming Monday, the 18th.
Yeah,
I
actually,
will,
don't come during the flooring. That would
yeah,
be
don't come during the flooring. Once the flooring is complete, it needs 72 hours to seal. So there'll be no access to the second level of the building, probably late next week into very early the following week. But if you have some time the next couple of days, please stop by. Um, you can see pretty much the new office outline and what it's going to look like. And it's
Matt, the floor on the third floor as well? They,
Yeah, so they're refurbishing. Oh, I will, because Councilmember Lichter did ask me this question earlier. I will confirm. We are refurbishing the hardwood floor on the main level, which is the main entry, the second level. There will be carpet in the hallway down to the restrooms,
yeah.
just because of the traffic. But we are able to refurbish the existing or the original hardwood floors on the main level, and we will be able to refurbish the original hardwood floors on the office level as well. The steps will be carpet for safety reasons, but we were pretty happy. There are a couple change orders. We're about 70, I think $7,600 over budget right now. Half of that is the refurbishing of the hardwood floors. I don't anticipate any more change orders. But like I said, we're about $7,600 over budget. So
Okay, great. Any questions? No. And did you want to mention anything about the Ernest Memorial Park or?
Well, actually, I was going to ask Matt and Alex because I know you're in closer touch with the contract team than I am. It's great to see the progress. I heard a report from one of my local informants that Jim shared plans for the Memorial Day service may need to be adjusted if things aren't done in time. So I just kind of wanted to ask for an update.
sure, thank you. Yeah, we spoke to Jim yesterday morning. We just advised him. Well, we gave him the option. Obviously, Ernest Memorial is not going to be complete by Memorial Day. We did offer Town Hall. But he would like to keep it at Ernest Memorial Park. It should be fine. The C7 stone has been put down in the pathway. We don't anticipate the pavers will be down until after we get the lighting in. We met with the lighting contractor today. The new flagpoles have been ordered. So once the lighting has been installed, um, then the pavers will be put down and Stallers will um, complete the plantings. Um, I'm hopeful that we'll be pretty close by the garden tour, but I don't want to make any promises. It will be close. So
Well, I think I asked this question before, but I just want confirmation. Will the sidewalk be completed before Memorial Day?
the sidewalk, there's one slab that they have to pour. We widened it to 5 feet. It was in bad shape. So we just ripped it up and widened it to 5 feet up into the park. So it has been poured. There's one slab at the main entrance that needs to be poured. That will be complete before Memorial Day.
Okay, because it's just not safe. I was thinking the way it is when I last saw it would not be safe to have that.
We we didn't want to do anything until we met with the lighting contractor. We needed to confirm whether conduit was going to be used or not, and we just didn't want to mess anything up or make it harder for them. So
Right, that's fine. And you're okay with people walking on the stones then, where the path?
actually, we would prefer that they stay off the site at least right now.
Well, I'm talking about, you just said Jim wants to hold it at the memorial, so I'm
Yeah,
just,
yeah, the site's not clean right now, so they'll clean it up. Yeah, there's tools and there's still some wires from the old lighting that need to be removed and everything, but we'll have it cleaned up for Memorial Day that they can walk on this stone. So
good. And could you make sure that there is we have some flowers to put there? Okay. And you can just have them come to the town hall, or I can pick them up. So,
Thank you.
all right. Anything else? Does anybody in the audience have any questions from the reports? Joe?
Yeah, thank you, Mayor Furman. On the food waste survey, I just wonder what was the response rate? I think Councilmember Lichter mentioned 79 respondents. And how many surveys were distributed?
Good question, Joe. Because we did both paper and digital, it's a little hard to estimate. The digital distribution was done mostly over the listserv. I don't know if it did end up going out on Facebook, but there was talk of putting it on the Facebook page as well. And then when people are handing out the survey, it's basically a QR code to direct them to, the online form.
Were the survey takers deployed throughout the town? Because I've been waiting for them to show up at our house and eager to take the
We
survey.
Yeah, I mean, we've divided up. It's possible that they haven't made it to your house yet, but we sort of divided up quadrants. But the survey is also available online, and we can include it in the minutes from this meeting as well. And I'm happy to forward it to you, the
Sure.
digital one.
I would love to see it. And is it available online at the Town of Kensington site, or what's the
No, I don't think it was. Nate, correct me if I'm wrong, but it's just gone out via email, and I don't think it's on the website.
okay. 79 respondents is not nothing, but it's not a huge response rate. So you might be a little bit wary about drawing great conclusions from such a small sample, but it depends on how many people were asked to respond. A question for Councilmember Engel. Do you know how close to the 10,000 pound goal the town has reached over the last, because this program, the food waste program, has been underway for close to a year, right?
Yeah, so thanks, Joe. We don't know. That's why we want to get the data because we have the count from I think it was November was when we got the information. We set this goal to double it, I think from 5,000 pounds to 10,000, but that's what we'll hopefully be able to tell in the next month or so because again, the goal was set for the end of June.
And is that a plateau or is that just a one
Oh,
level
no,
that you want to reach, then
just the
continue
beginning,
onward?
hopefully.
I'm sorry, I didn't get the.
I said it's just the beginning, hopefully. It was just a something for us to strive towards.
Okay.
We hope to get more.
Okay, good. Thank you.
Yeah.
The Councilmember Sparker mentioned that the Walker consultants are off to a vigorous, serious-minded start. I've really been impressed with their eagerness to learn about the problems and issues and pressures that the town faces. This outreach that they've begun with is really very promising, I think. I do have a lingering question about the town's RFP for that led to Walker's selection. And this is a question that's rooted in advice that the council has given several times over the years that if you see something, say something. And real quickly, the final version of the RFP contained several references to Kensington as a city. And I was surprised by those references. There were five in my counting. And I just wonder how these erroneous references to Kensington as a city infiltrated the RFP that was sent to, many prospective consultants. Was this a case of superficial proofreading, or just how did that happen? I asked because I looked at earlier and reviewed earlier drafts of the RFP, and there was nothing in there referring to Kensington as a city. So I'm just curious as how that happened.
I take responsibility for the final draft. Anything there was an error on my part, and it's a typo.
A typo. Also, there was a reference to UMD, which is the acronym for the University of Maryland, and the RFP had nothing to do with the
Also
University
a
of Maryland.
typo.
So, again, why was this in there? Was this a lapse in proofreading, or?
I mean, I would say, Joe, it didn't seem to have any material effect on the procurement, and I'm glad that you also have noted that the team that we're under contract with is doing a good job, and that we've got plenty of work ahead to do with them.
Well, this was a big undertaking for the town to get this RFP out there, and I must say, superficially, it looked good, but I was really surprised after having worked on early drafts of this that there was the references to erroneous references to Kensington. I'm just raising this question because it's not a it's a useful question to keep in mind, I think, in future RFPs.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
All right. Anything from the town staff?
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. I wanted to make a couple updates. Councilmember Engel requested an update with regards to our railroad crossing elimination grant. I would like to announce that Alex and I did meet with the MTA team for a kickoff meeting. The subcontractor, the engineering subcontractor is WRA, who we do have a relationship with on prior contracts. We've met with them. They are looking to do some community outreach, which I will reach out to Councilmember Engel and Councilmember Sparker later about, specifically with regards to meeting with the MTC PBAS. We'd also like to meet with Modena Senior Living. There's a tremendous amount of crossing from that community there. And speaking with Chad, who is the project lead from WRA, they're hoping to have a report back to us probably by December. We're hopeful for December, and then we'll be able to proceed from there. I'd like to provide an update with regards to the Connecticut Avenue CSX bridge, pedestrian bridge that we have applied for a grant with a number of times, the SS4A grant. We are proceeding with the final application. We have not been successful thus far. I will be honest with you, the goalposts keep getting moved on us, and I am not expecting to be awarded this grant. It is unfortunate because we've been given some feedback over the last 2 cycles that told us what we needed to upgrade and change to get this, and it just keeps changing. And this is the last year of the grant. It has become even more competitive, and we'll give it another shot, but I'm not hopeful that
Matt,
we
the
will.
changes are
Yeah.
those from DOT staff? Is that from the TA providers from National League of Cities? Like, where's
Yeah.
it coming
I mean, I'm not. We got some very poor advice from National League of Cities to start. I would say the group meetings that we've had with them over the last 2 years have been helpful, but they have not gotten to us where we need to be. I mean, I think it's become incredibly competitive. More municipalities, more cities have been able to file this application than they did maybe 2 or 3 years ago. They're more competitive, and we are just not meeting their minimum requirements. It's something that I think we should continue to pursue, maybe through some federal money with our federal elected officials, and maybe working with the state and county. But I'm not hopeful on this grant at this point. So,
Matt, what is some of the feedback for the requirements that we're not hitting? Is it about underserved communities?
that was what we got 2 years ago, and I thought we addressed it pretty well. Alex did a very good job addressing that. And this past year, the feedback that we got, Alex, I can't remember exactly what they said this last time, if you remember.
I think it was
Yeah.
the safety. We haven't had the fatal accidents that they're looking
That's what it
for.
was.
We haven't had any.
Yeah. Which
We
was
have
not
to
even
have
addressed
people die first before we do something.
But
pretty
we
much.
We do have a
We-
video of a guy almost getting smoked by that train, 2 weeks ago?
Yeah, but this is
Yeah.
for the pedestrian Connecticut Avenue Bridge.
But this is even more of a reason. I mean,
Yeah.
that's where he could be crossing and not
Indeed.
there. That's the point, is that displaces the need to have that crossing in some ways too for bikes. But there have been deaths on Connecticut Avenue, along Connecticut Avenue, not at that exact site, but certainly in nearby. We all know about them in the last year. That's not counted? It has to be on the site you're going to put the bridge?
It's within a certain window of time. I can't remember. It might be incorporated in this application, but the last few years when we applied, there hadn't been any within the window. I think it was only 5 or 6 years.
Okay, because there's been 2 on, like, probably within a quarter mile, right? 1 within a block and a half. So hopefully we can add that in.
Yeah, those will probably be factored in this year, I would say, but I'm not positive.
Okay. Yeah, I get the frustration. It's challenging to keep applying, but thank you for doing it. Maybe we can brainstorm if this one doesn't go through, like you said, if there's ways we can get an earmark or something federal. I don't know, because it is a pretty important project, especially with the new restaurants opening over there and all the pedestrian activity. There's a lot of people out there going back and forth.
Nate,
So
has the MTC weighed in or offered to help on this development of this grant in the past? I just know it's a heavy lift for the town staff to put this together, and I can take it to them and see if I can get some volunteers to help pick up the pen.
We really appreciate that. This one's not really a staff issue. It's just that, like I said, I mean, we got some very bad advice from the National League of Cities on our first go on this.
Hmm.
We tried to catch up the last 2 years. We thought we were there. And like I said, basically what we were told is it is incredibly competitive grant. Everyone's had time to put in applications, and we're just not there. So
Okay. Well, standing offer. If there's if we can help carry any of the load, just let me know. And we'll take it back and we'll see if we can get some support.
yes, I mean, Mayor Furman and I've talked about, trying to work with our federal elected officials on doing something. I think this might be a good opportunity. We've had some meetings previously with Senator Cardin's office before he left office, and Senator Van Hollen's office about some earmarks. So maybe that's the route we can go. So
thanks, Matt. I think there was one more I asked you about, right?
yeah, I do not have any recent updates or communication with the MCDOT. We're going to need to follow up with them with regards to Summit. I need to get some clarity on what they're requesting um, from us. Um, Summit is not in the corporate limits of the town. It's not our right of way. So I just want to go back and meet with the engineering team and I'm not entirely sure what they're asking for us on a survey. They should have everything. It's not our right of way. It's not our jurisdiction. So I just need to get some clarity from MCDOT on what they need. So
So thank you. But just for refreshing everyone else's minds about this, and Stuart, you might not know about this. Um, 3 years ago, we did we basically did outreach to the people on Summit Avenue, because there were some requests about the dangers of the intersection that we talk about a lot in MTC, um, and PBAS, about Knowles and Summit. But then the conversation kind of extended to, well, what does the bicycling master plan and pedestrian master plan say about that area? Well, there's a designated bike lane that should be put there. And then this was shortly after people were coming out of COVID. Then the lines, the traffic was backing up there. People were racing to kind of cut to the right and nearly hitting pedestrians along the sidewalk there that's adjacent to the HOC. So there was discussion around widening the sidewalk, separating with a grass buffer, maybe designating a bike lane, doing a lot of improvements along that, which just kind of ended with what I remember. The county was very gung-ho. Some of the residents on the summit weren't super excited. Others were happy and excited about it. So we had some mixed feedback from residents. We did the walkthrough, but the last I remember was that the county was trying to find information on the right of way and where the survey was that talked about the right of way. And somehow, Matt, I thought we had it, but they didn't, and it wasn't our responsibility, but we had it somewhere. And then the conversation stopped. And I've been trying to kind of pick it up again. And I think, Stuart, in light of the intersection at Knowles and Summit, I think we should get something going again around that whole corridor, including the intersection, that would possibly improve, maybe reduce the length of the curbs between curb to curb, maybe to make it easier to cross. Anything that can improve the safety there, I think, is going to be really important to avoid an accident before it happens, because there have been so many near misses. I've been one of them, and we have many people even on PBAS who've nearly been hit multiple times. So I think it's high time for that conversation. So thanks, Matt, for anything you can do to revive it with MCDOT.
So Nate, can I get clarity? Are you still looking to move the sidewalk in along between?
I mean, I think it should be part of the discussion. It just kind of, I remember it just kind of went away. They never followed up, right?
Is working on it. I think there's quite a bit of right of way there where you look at the telephone poles.
Right.
There's space, but I would definitely want to communicate with the residents on the street to make sure that they are still, because it will eat quite a bit of their front yard. So,
Yeah, and it may be necessary. I think what they determined was they were kind of self-regulating it by keeping their cars parked there during rush hour,
yes.
on the right lane. But I think when it opens up past Brookfield is where it gets where there was already someone hit there, and they added
The cross.
the hawk signal. Yeah, that's where it's really close. You get really close to the traffic, and that's where there's no more buffer. Where I think it could be, but there were some concerns about having to take some trees down, and I think that that is a valid concern. But I think at least getting that bumped in on the like towards the HOC property would be a significant improvement.
So between the Smith house and
Yeah,
Knoll.
exactly.
Okay.
And Knowles, yeah. Thanks, Matt.
Sure. Two more quick updates. I just wanted to give an update. We've talked about previously doing a storm drain along Farragut Avenue between Lexington Street and St. Paul. There's no residents from Farragut on the call this evening, but I will be sending out a notification to them, let them know that we do have the engineering completed. We've sent it over to WGL. They've made some recommendations on some inlets that they've requested that we move, and we also need to move a portion of the gas line. So we'll work with WGL to make those corrections with the engineering team. And then my hope is that we'll get over to Farragut Avenue sometime in early 2027. And then I also wanted to give a quick update. We do have the H analysis for the Kensington Parkway Bridge. We received it yesterday from Brutus Engineering. It confirmed what we already knew. The existing culvert does not meet the 10-year floodplain requirements. The grate that will be installed to protect the debris will make that even worse. That WSSC has requested on the short term to protect their sewer line. We will need a new bridge structure. So we are meeting with Brutus and Associates later this week to kind of just start kicking around some ideas. Again, this is not a short-term thing for us. It's not a 1-2 year thing. It's kind of 5+ years. But at some point we'll be coming back to the council with some information with regards to building a new bridge at Kensington Parkway. So,
And I think everybody was on the email that WSSC is coming back to the Kensington Parkway. They found some additional problems with the sewer pipe, and they're going to be relined by the contractor this week, assuming that the weather isn't a problem. And they did not want to wait on it because we didn't want sewage to go back into the creek and then start that whole thing over again. So they're trying to be more proactive and getting that fixed sooner. I mean, these pipes are 100 years old. They were installed.
yeah, the sewer line was installed in 1915, the main line. So, I mean, they're running into the same issues that we're running into every time we dig. We find another problem, and it's either we don't fix it or we expand the project. So, yeah.
So anyway, so they're going to hang around just for a little bit longer, but being proactive is a good thing.
Here, did I see that the timeline for that is like what you say, a couple 3 weeks? Is that what I remember?
I think
can't
that's
remember.
they
Just for
said
the
in
public.
email is 2 to 3 weeks.
2 or 3 weeks. Okay, great. Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions for from the town manager report?
One question, Matt. Hey, just any update on the backstop at St. Paul Park? Just a timeline or when you're thinking about maybe getting to that. Now the weather's turning and kids are gonna be out of school soon.
I'm hoping to have it down before Memorial Day. That is my hope.
Okay.
Please don't hold me to the
I don't know. No, it's fine. Thanks, man. Appreciate it.
Okay. All right, since before we go into ordinance and resolutions and regulations, I'm going to open it up for public appearances. It's your opportunity to bring something up that's not already on the agenda. Joe?
Thank you, Mayor Furman. I just wonder if the town manager has any updates about street sweeping in the town of Kensington before the end of the current fiscal year. This was a question that arose at last month's council meeting. Anything pending about this street sweeping matter?
Yeah, I can confirm that There will be a street sweeping before the end of the fiscal year. We have not confirmed the dates with the contractor yet, but it looks like it's going to be sometime in the next 2 to 3 weeks. And then we will make a notification once we confirm those dates.
Great. And any updates about the striping along the new crosswalk at the ends of Kensington Parkway, at the very south end of the town? The temporary stripes were removed during the winter, I guess, inadvertently, and that crosswalk is not really marked with any kind of striping as it stands now. I think you said at the end of May or something.
So the marking contract is tied to the milling and paving of St. Paul Street. Once milling and paving of St. Paul Street, McComas, Madison, and Decatur is completed, the markings will probably be installed within 1 to 2 weeks after that. Right now, milling and paving is now scheduled for after Memorial Day. So you're probably looking at June before the markings are installed.
Not having any markings at that new crosswalk is a potential hazard. And is there anything you could do in the interim before the month of June to call attention to this crosswalk there for pedestrians? Because motorists do not respect the 20-mile-an-hour speed limit at that part of town.
Matt, were there markings there before?
There were not. So we reconfigured the entire intersection to make it more pedestrian safety in November. The markings that were put down by the contractor were taped. They didn't even meet code. They were ripped up by the snow plows. The thermal will be installed within the next 4 weeks. There's no temporary tape going down.
Okay, thank you.
Is there any other temporary measure that could be taken? There's some signage perhaps that could be installed in the middle of the street. I don't know. I mean, it just seems like it's a hazard that
there are warning signs for the crosswalk posted on both approaches. It meets code. We will not be doing anything else until the final markings are installed, Joe.
Great. So sometime in June then, maybe, is what we're looking at.
I believe so.
Okay.
Thank you.
And I'm glad, Mayor Furman, that you mentioned the renewed WSSC sewer line work in this end of town. Does anyone have any updated information about the stream restoration work that's related to the WSSC sewer line project on Silver Creek? I understand that the stream restoration work has not been completed, and do we know when that might be completed?
I do not know. Who was going to do that? Was that Parks or was that?
I think it's a WSSC project that, of course, has to have county permitting, but that's just my surmise.
Okay, we'll look into that.
Okay. And finally, I just wanted to mention that there have been no contested elections in Kensington since 2022. No contested elections for town council since 2022, even though every year is an election year in Kensington. And there was a time when contested elections, competitive elections for town council were fairly typical. 2020, 2021, 2022 all saw competitive elections for council, and but of late there haven't been any, and it's kind of a sad statement about local democracy, I think, too. And the last competitive mayoral election in Kensington was in 2020, and we've had one competitive mayoral election in the past 14 years. So I don't know. I would hope that the mayor and council would think about ways of invigorating local democracy in Kensington. Maybe thinking about term limits, because it seems to have worked fairly well at the county level in terms of getting new faces and new blood into the political system, which would not be a bad idea. If it works well at the county system, why not try it at the town level? So it seems like this is a broader question that might be an interesting discussion to have at a council meeting, inviting residents as well as council members to weigh in on this. Just what would be a way of invigorating local democracy in Kensington? Term limits might be an answer. There might be other answers too.
Joe, I just want to share, like, I literally today ran into a neighbor and was encouraging this neighbor to consider running for office in the future. And I think we should all have conversations like that. I don't know that term limits are necessarily the answer, but I welcome the opportunity to encourage more people to run for council, to get involved in committees, and I'd be happy to host some kind of coffee, answering questions about what it's like to be on town council.
An interesting idea. I was thinking that maybe a portion of a council meeting could be devoted to this question of the health or invigorating local democracy in Kensington. Just as we had a guest speakers tonight from the county police, but yeah, coffee's not a bad idea either.
I do think from my discussions with people is they don't have the time, because this does take time. It does take a lot of time, and especially for people who have children and full-time jobs. I know, Stuart is new to the council, but he's probably a little surprised about how many meetings there actually are, and how many meetings that you have to go to, not just for the town, but outside the town as well. I've been to 4 meetings already in this week. So, that are part of the town, but, also getting out there in front of the county council to make sure our tax duplications don't disappear, things like that. It takes time, and a lot of people don't want to dedicate that much time to it, or can't.
No, I think you make a good point, but people being pressed for time is not necessarily a new phenomenon. And as I said earlier, contested elections for town council used to be fairly typical. I mean, not so long ago, we had contested elections again in 2020, 2021, 2022. And every year is an election year in Kensington. So we used to have some competition for these offices. And even going further back, there were contested elections for council in Kensington in 2010, 2011, 2015, and 2017. So yeah, I see your point, Mayor, about about time being a real factor, but that doesn't explain why we had competitive elections not so long ago.
Well, I think most of them are when a council member decides not to run. The one you're pointing out is when Darren said, "I'm not running." So that left an open seat. So more people did feel like they could come in. So it just depends on where people are at the time. And maybe there's also, I'm happy. I don't, we don't need to make a change. So, John?
Hi. Yeah, as somebody who ran for one of the elections that Joe is referring to, I guess I would share that I think part of the reason that there aren't contested elections in the last few times is because people are pleased with the mayor and council and feel good about the leadership. And indeed, Joe, because he seems like he often has issues, and he might consider running himself. But I know for me, I am really pleased with the mayor and council we have, and wouldn't just run to create kind of a hunger game. I appreciate what we have, and don't think that I would necessarily add value. So wanted to put that perspective out there as somebody who had run in actually a couple of the more recent elections, but absolutely follow what's going on in the town. I'm aware of when elections come up, and deliberately did not run because I think we are really fortunate to have the leadership that we have going on. Thanks.
Thank you, John. Okay. Let's, if there isn't anything else, Joe, let's move on to ordinance resolutions and regulations.
Thank you, Mayor. Council, before you this evening is ordinance number O-01-2026. This is the adoption of an ordinance of the Mayor and Council of the Town of Kensington to appropriate and adopt the fiscal year 2026-2027. FY27 budget and to levy a tax on certain and real personal property um, within the annotated code of Maryland. We've made, I'm sorry, the public record was held open till 4 p.m. this past Friday. We received one additional comment by email, which was responded to by Mayor Furman. We do have a couple of amendments to request before the council this evening. We wanted to add the $100,000 grant that was rolled over from the District 18 delegation. These funds will be allocated to the town hall renovation project, specifically to repoint the existing bricks on the front facade and to do some roof patching work. We also updated
Matt,
yes.
The brick facade, is that just the front or the back too?
Well, it's going to have to be phased. The whole building is going to be more than 100,000. So I think we're probably going to start with the front. We'll have some proposals for the council in the next the June council meeting. We should have a proposal for the council to look at, and then the roof patching. We don't need a new roof. We just have some patchwork we need to do.
Okay, I was just thinking that maybe the repointing shouldn't just be specific to the front. I mean, just repointing the brick as needed.
The main areas are their back of the building and the back of the parking lot is a main area, and then the front. The east and west sides aren't too bad. Armory is the west side. It was done in 2005. It's okay, but it's the front and the rear of the town hall that needs the repointing the most.
Okay.
So that $100,000 is going to be allocated to the town hall renovations, and then we were able to clarify an inconsistency that we found in the personal property business tax revenues with the state since the public hearing. So they were able to update that number. So it added $15,110 to that revenue. So the total revenues for FY27 increased by $115,110. $100,000 of that is the grant. And then the $15,110 is the additional funds for personal property tax. Those additional funds will be allocated to the CIP specifically just to keep things simple into vehicle acquisition fund. I think we had only allocated something around $4,000 previously, and we just added the additional $15,000 to that line item. So if the council would like to accept those two amendments within the FY27 budget.
Do you want us to vote on the amendments first or just include them in the,
You can just include them as amended.
Okay.
Unless you have, I'm assuming you might have questions, so.
Okay, does anybody have any questions on the amendments that Matt brought up? It doesn't look like it. Okay, can we make a motion?
Sure, I'll move that we adopt ordinance number O-01-2026 to appropriate and adopt the fiscal year 2026-2027 budget and to levy a tax on certain real and personal property under the annotated code for the state of Maryland as amended and described by the town manager.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you, council. Susan and I will submit the tax rates to the state tomorrow. And we should be good standing. So
We like good standing.
yeah. Before you this evening is resolution number R-08-2026, a resolution of the Mayor and Town Council of Kensington authorizing a contribution in the amount of $25,000 from the fiscal year 2025-2026. That's the current fiscal year budget to the Noyes Children's Library Foundation for the restoration and renovation project at Noyes Children's Library. The council last year approved a budget with a $25,000 allocation to Noyes. That is this amount. We just have not allocated it as of yet. And for a record, we did add $10,000 within the FY27 budget, which begins July 1st. If the council approves, as they just did, approve that, it would be a total allocation to Noyes Children's Library Foundation of $150,000 since 2016.
And just to add on, I want to mention that the Maryland House and Garden Pilgrimage is June 7th. And the proceeds from that, which we have a small amount of money in our current budget to cover some of the costs. for the Kensington Historical Society, who has put together the committee to run this. And we are waiving the fees for the construction of the Noyes Library Foundation, which is what, a few $1,000s, Matt? It's not a whole lot. That will be, but the Maryland House and Garden Pilgrimage, all the proceeds will also be going to the Noyes Library Foundation. So very excited about that. So I hope everybody's bought a ticket. Even if you can't come, please buy a ticket and support the fundraiser. Okay. Any questions about the resolution R08 2026?
No questions, but a comment, Mayor, before we vote on this resolution. Just since the groundbreaking for the renovation was last weekend and we were all there able to attend, I thought you had wonderful and gracious comments to make. I want to make one comment, and that is that I am extremely proud of the Friends of Noyes Library, the Noyes Library Foundation, and the town of Kensington for how many times we have continued to contribute and up the amount of money that we as a township have put toward the project. I think those two things, but especially the foundation's steadfast work, is what got that project to where it is. There were times where other forces attempted to remove it from the county's budget. And I think the public activism, and I think the loud voice and the financial contributions that you kept reminding the county of, and our District 18 delegation kept reminding the county of, helped the right decision to be made, which was to preserve that historic building and make it better for generations to come. So before we vote on this next installment, I just want to say I'm very proud of the position that the town has taken on this.
Yeah, and I can't say I got a lot of pleasure when Mark said in a meeting that the town was not giving any money to this project, and I felt good saying no, that is incorrect. That we are making donations to Noyes Foundation. So it's not as big as maybe he would have liked, but we are making that effort, and so I'm very proud of that we pledged to support it. Any other questions? I'm not seeing anything. If I could get someone to approve sorry, words completely lost me.
You need a motion.
I need
I'll move.
Thank you.
I'll move.
Coming into my head with that one. A motion, please.
I'll move to approve resolution R-08 2026, authorizing Kensington, the mayor and town council for contribution in the amount of $25,000 to the Noyes Children's Library Foundation.
Is there a second?
I second.
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Great. Thank you very much. Okay, the last item on the agenda is setting the meeting for next month. I understand from Matt that the 10th, there's a problem with the 10th.
Yeah, correct. Thank you, Mayor. There's a slight scheduling conflict with both Susan and I for the 10th. We can make the 10th work, but you'd be helping us out if we could move it up to June 3rd. I don't know if Councilmember Lichter is available that night. If not, would be the 17th.
I could do the 3rd or the 17th.
Okay. 3rd would be preferable for staff. So
Can they make the 3rd?
Yep, I can do it.
We're still remote in June.
Yes.
Then yes, I'm good.
I cannot make the 3rd, and I cannot make the 10th either. I will be out of the country for work on the week of the 9th to the 12th, pulling an 8 angle. And then I have a work engagement on the night of the 3rd that I cannot move because I am hosting. Sorry.
Does another night that week work?
Third, I feel like I'm always the person asking for accommodations. The 4th would work, Thursday the 4th. I've got the entire team is in town Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, but they leave town Thursday afternoon. So I can do the night of the 4th I could do the night of the 1st. It's just like next week, basically.
Well, the first is election day, so we'll be.
Ice cream night.
Oh, yeah, that's ice cream night. Sorry.
Yeah.
Well, those 2 weeks, first weeks in June are a mess for me. I apologize.
The only thing I'd flag for the 17th is that is the last day of school for Montgomery County. So,
Yeah, I'd prefer to not do that week
Yeah.
or early that week or earlier, like anywhere from the 2nd onward to the 16th.
wait,
And
did you just say not from the 2nd to the 16th?
no, only between those dates, not
Oh,
after.
got it. Okay. First thing I was
I
like,
think it's
whoa.
going to get hard after that.
So, yeah, the Maryland Municipal League, that's the week of the 15th. I think I'm the only one going. Is that right? To the MML. I see some shaking heads.
I'm not going.
Right?
I'm not.
Not going.
Yeah, and yeah, I mean, I don't know why they pulled it up a week earlier because kids are still in school. So
Yeah, it's not a week.
yeah.
What about the 8th? Did you say
Yeah.
you're gone the 9th, Stuart?
Yeah, I fly. I've got a red eye on the 8th.
Yeah,
Oh.
I'm gone the 8th through that whole week. Sorry.
How about the 4th? We looked
Fourth,
at
I can do the 4th. Yeah.
Do the 4th.
I can make it work, yeah.
Thursday the 4th.
Sue Ellen, does that work for you? Thursday, June 4th?
Yes, it does.
All right.
So June 4th, 7:00, and that will be by Zoom. We should be able to do in person in July, and then we'll probably recess then in August.
Sounds good.
Okay?
Thank you for the accommodations, everybody. Really appreciate it.
It's very important.
Of course.
So if I can get a motion to adjourn.
I moved
I move to adjourn.
Okay, which one wants to do it? So for the record.
Who's trailing in the points?
That's me. It's me. I move to adjourn the town council meeting for
a second,
May
Connor?
2026.
I will second.
Oh, okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All have a
Thanks all.
Good night.
Excuse
Bye.
us. It's raining, so all of that that grass we put down is getting a good drink.
Yeah.
Nice.
All right. Take care, everybody.
Bye,
Thanks,
everyone.
guys.
Bye,
Bye.
Sue. Thank you.